Okay, I think we're live. Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon or maybe even good evening to you, and welcome to another Spider Strategies monthly education webinar. This month, our kind of fun-filled topic for February of 2019 is, did you know you can do this in QuickScore? My name is Tom Keating. I am honored and pleased to be your presenter today. I'm a training and customer experience consultant here at Spider Strategies, and I always invite people to feel free to reach out to me directly via email at tom.keating@spiderstrategies.com. Before we jump into the actual webinar, just to touch on a couple of logistic points. First of all, this webinar, as always, is being recorded for your future use and reference. All you live attendees are presently muted. I do have a monthly practice of apologizing for sort of forcing mute on you, but we have learned from experience that if we don't mute the participants, we end up with background noise of, police sirens or dogs barking or what have you. So you are presently muted, but do feel free, as I said earlier, to send any questions or future communications, whether you can do it right during this webinar if you'd like, send me an email, or afterwards to tom.keating@spiderstrategies.com. Or you can always approach us at our learn@spiderstrategies.com email address as well. Today's agenda for our Did You Know You Can Do This in QuickScore is sort of a hodgepodge of 9 different capabilities that we pulled together as topics or capabilities that we feel that we should touch base with you on and make sure that you're just simply aware of the capability to do some of this stuff within QuickScore. So we'll be talking about bookmarks, searching and finding elements within QuickScore, related items, the opportunity to send things from QuickScore out to other applications, info and history about elements within your scorecards in QuickScore, documents, linked measures, and notes. My goal throughout each of those 9 different capabilities is to make sure that you get exposure to what that capability is, where it is, why you would potentially use it, and of course, how you would use it. So with that said, let's just one more time take a quick look at our agenda and our 9 capabilities, and let's jump into it. This, for you folks that have been on webinars in the past, sometimes they're somewhat PowerPoint driven, other times they're very live in terms of the nature of what I'm presenting. In this case, it's going to be virtually all live demonstration from here on out. So I'll start by bringing up QuickScore and landing at the home page of QuickScore. I'm just going to increase my size here just a little bit, give you a better resolution. So as I hope you already know, the home page is a very customized experience for you. When you've logged in and authenticated into QuickScore, the system identified who you are, and right from your home page, it is providing you with a personalized experience, particularly with the work area towards the middle right, where there are alerts that you have subscribed to or are being pushed to you for some particular reason. And further out to the right, your responsibilities area, where you have measures that you own, measures you update, and tasks that have been assigned to you. So that's one way that QuickScore is wonderfully personal for you. Another area that empowers you to make QuickScore very personal and private for you is the Bookmarks area. So up towards the far upper left, we are presently, of course, viewing the home page, and so that is the section that is presently active. Underneath it is Bookmarks. And what bookmarks are is effectively your private library of scorecard elements that you want immediate and quick and easy access to on a regular basis. So in my case, I've got a fairly humble little, we'll call it again, a library of content, including a strategy map, a key measure history dashboard, a financial overview report, a sales pipeline dashboard, and a revenue performance over time chart or graph. And the reason that those all live in my bookmarks library is because I put them there. It's up to me to put what I want in my bookmarks library. Mine is different than yours, which is different than somebody else's. So it's very personal in nature, and you have total control of what's in your bookmarks library. Now, as an example of where you might want to expand your bookmarks library, let's just work with a hypothetical situation where at Mobile World, the customer support manager is going to be going on a long vacation. Our manager, Lisa, will be gone for the next 10 days. And she's asked me as another manager just to keep my eye on key information regarding customer support. So what I'm going to do to make my life easier is, instead of having to remember where Lisa taught me that all of the customer support information lives, which is in the customer support organization, and within that scorecard, we've got the help desk calls area and some key performance indicators or measures here that Lisa has indicated are important for me to be monitoring in her absence. And she pointed me most specifically at calls handled, percentage of calls answered, and the transfer rate. She also pointed out to me that there's a dashboard that she uses with great frequency, which is the call center key measures dashboard. And so what I would like to do is have all of those elements readily and easily available to me over the next 10 days while Lisa's gone. So to that end, I'll go back to my bookmarks area. I'll create a new folder called Customer Support Topics, and I'll create that folder. So that is ready to go to house whatever customer support elements I'd like to include in my bookmarks library. And then I'll navigate back out to the elements that Lisa showed me within customer support. I'll start with the calls handled measure. And over to the right, towards the far upper right corner, there's a toolbar, which includes many of the concepts or the capabilities we'll be talking about today. The first of which is a star for bookmarks. I'm going to simply click the bookmark star, and that measure for calls handled and its overview tab view of it has now been added to my bookmarks library. I'll do the exact same thing with percent calls answered. Again, just click the star, and again with transfer rate, and click the star. So I've added those three elements, those three views of important measures into my bookmarks library. And then I'll do the exact same thing with the dashboard that Lisa showed me. I'll open it up, I'll go to the upper right, click the bookmarks button, and that has now been added to my bookmarks library as well. So if I return to my bookmarks library, you see that we've got additional elements in here that I can then put into the customer support topics folder that I created. So I'm going to simply click edit down at the bottom of the black navigation pane. I'll drag calls handled up into my customer support topics folder. I'll drag percent calls answered to the same location. I'll drag transfer rate, and then call center key measures, okay? And I'll put all of those elements within that customer support topics folder. So I have, again, just created a new folder in my private bookmarks library, giving me immediate, easy access, day over day, to the calls handled. I have to get out of edit mode. I'll get out of edit mode. So calls handled, percent calls answered, transfer rate, and the call center key measures. So that's bookmarks. Moving on to the next capability in our list or our agenda today, we're going to be talking about search and find. I'll start by just returning to the home page just to give us an orientation from the home page. QuickScore provides you with two powerful searching and finding capabilities. The first is located in the far lower left-hand corner, where you see a magnifying glass icon that indicates that you can search. This search empowers you to do a universal search of the entire QuickScore data repository and all elements throughout the entire database. So if I put in the keyword revenue, what it will return to me is it has found 69 different scorecard elements throughout the entire QuickScore repository. It has found one bookmark, one report, and one slide within a briefing, all of which contain the word revenue somewhere, either within their title or in the description of elements of those scorecard elements. If I were to change my search criteria here to be product, again, I get an extensive result set of 31 different scorecard items, as well as, if I scroll down a little bit, a dashboard for product delivery and effectiveness, and a slide to that same dashboard within a briefing. One thing that is, I think, unique about this particular search capability is it really goes deep. Note that one of the things it has found for me is improved knowledge and skills. Well, I don't see the term product anywhere in the name of that scorecard element. And if I click on it, I can drill down and see that it takes me to improve knowledge and skills as an objective within our Mobile World Inc. organization. And I might say, well, why did this come up with a product search? So if I go to the info button in the far upper right-hand corner, I'll see that in the description of this improved knowledge and skills objective, it contains the term products. So that is the level to which this search goes. It goes looking for your keyword at all levels of everything in the entire underlying QuickScore database repository. So that's one very powerful search capability. And it differs from another search capability within QuickScore, which is the find capability up towards the top of the black navigation panes right under the name of the organization that you have selected. So this is a more context-specific find or search. It's still searching, but it's in this case only going to find elements that live within the organization that you have selected. So in this case, I'll select the Mobile World Inc. organization, and within the QuickScore section that you are presently working in. So in my case, I'm in the Mobile World Inc. organization in the scorecard section. And again, in here, if I put in some kind of common keywords like sales, and so it will return to me some elements that it has found within the Mobile World Inc. organization and within the scorecards section. And that would give me different results if I was in a different organization. So if I were to go out to the financial organization and put in a keyword of like revenue, okay, it's going to, of course, return for me elements that have the word revenue in them, but again, only that exist within the financial organization and within the scorecards section. So this find is much more context specific than the search that we looked at earlier. Okay, that's our second concept or topic. Let's move on to the third, which is related items. Now, related items live and are available to you when you are viewing the data category within QuickScore. So if I can direct your attention to the black navigation pane on the far left, under data, we have scorecards, initiatives, and documents. So related items are going to be available to you within those sections of QuickScore. So I'll start by just going to a larger organization here of Mobile World Inc. and go to the scorecards section. And here I've got the scorecard for Mobile World Balance Scorecard selected. And if I look to the far lower right corner of the overview tab that I'm viewing for this Mobile World Balance Scorecard, I see that there are some related items. The name related items pretty much defines or explains what they do and what they're there for. They give you the opportunity, sort of like what we were doing within the Bookmarks area, to have immediate, quick, and easy access to other scorecard elements that pertain or relate in some way to the scorecard element, that you're viewing. So there's a sense of what does the Mobile World Balance Scorecard impact, or what is it impacted by? So in our case, if we believe that this scorecard should be related to a financial overview dashboard, I don't have to go out and find the financial overview dashboard within the dashboards section of QuickScore and go to the appropriate organization where that dashboard lives. What I can do is just simply click on it from the related items box in the lower right-hand corner, and it jumps me immediately to that financial overview dashboard. And then I can just use my browser back button to return again to my view of the Mobile World Balance Scorecard. One thing to be aware of about related items is that you've got a wide variety of elements that you can employ to relate to. In this case, of course, you see it can be scorecard items, initiatives, strategy maps, dashboards, charts, reports, briefing, documents, and even outside web address information. So you're not exclusively limited to working with QuickScore provided related items. You can actually link out to, URL sourced information. So just as an example of setting up a related item, we have an initiative. And again, related items live within the scorecards section down in the lower right-hand corner. When you're in the initiatives section, if you scroll to the bottom of any given initiative, there again is a related items table where you can associate related items to the initiative that you're viewing. And also related items live in the documents area. So if you have some documents that you've uploaded into QuickScore and again want to relate something to an existing document within your, again, repository or library of documents, you can do so from the related items table on the right. So as an example of setting up a related item to an initiative, we have this initiative to migrate servers to the cloud. And in my case, I believe that, migrating servers to the cloud will have some impact on our financial bottom line. And what we notice already that we believe it will impact total operating expenses down at the bottom, but we also feel that it should have some impact on our IT effectiveness. So if I were to navigate, again, if I want to add a related item here to this Migrate Servers to Cloud initiative, I simply click Add, and I'll go up to a scorecard item. And within the Mobile World Inc. Scorecard, I've got an organizational capacity perspective, and we've got an objective to improve IT effectiveness and a measure, which is our IT effectiveness index. And I would like that measure to be related to this Migrate Servers to Cloud initiative. So right now it has now been added here in the related items table. If I click on it, it will of course jump me over to that IT effectiveness index measure. And also I can then just navigate back to the initiative to migrate servers to cloud. And if I desire, I can add additional elements, again, from either from within QuickScore and all of the variety of different types of objects available here, and or just providing, as I said earlier, a web address. You simply give it a name and then provide it with a valid URL address. Okay, so that's related items. Next up in our agenda here is some elements that live, I should say, in the upper right-hand corner, pretty much no matter what QuickScore element you're viewing, except for the home page. So I'll just navigate back to the home page and just share with you that when you're on the home page, there is no toolbar in the upper right-hand corner. But virtually any other view that you have within QuickScore is going to include in the upper right-hand corner a nested toolbar that has 4 different buttons. One for bookmarks that we already saw and worked with, one for send to, one for info, and one for history. So again, we've already covered the idea of bookmarks. One thing I should touch on very quickly that I neglected to do when I talked about the bookmarks is if you set something up as a bookmark, so let's say my call's handled, and decide later that you don't want it in your library of private content anymore, you simply select that bookmarked element, go back up to the star, which is now blue, and click on it, and it will be removed. You get the opportunity to delete it as a bookmark item. It is, of course, not deleting the original element. I didn't delete that measure from within QuickScore. I just removed it from my library of existing content within that customer supports folder in my bookmarks area. But my point here with regard to the toolbar in the upper right-hand corner is any other section within QuickScore that you navigate to, you will see that toolbar with, again, bookmarks, send to, info, and history. So let's pause here a little bit and talk about the send to opportunity. And towards that end, again, I'll just navigate back into a scorecards area, the scorecard section, and just take a look at my Mobile World Balance Scorecard parent of everything in here. So if you click on the Send To button within the toolbar in the upper right-hand corner, you get the opportunity to choose where you want to send this view of the Mobile World Balance Scorecard. And again, your choices here are quite extensive. A briefing sends this overview and the visualization it provides to an internal presentation deck that we call a briefing book. If you're not familiar with briefings, we do have training material exclusively on briefings, and I would refer you to briefings to understand better what they are. But if you want to create a new page within an existing briefing, you select the send to, choose briefing, and then simply navigate out to the briefing that you want to add this page to, and it has now been added as an additional page in that briefing presentation deck. Other choices available to you from the send to include sending it directly to a printer, creating an Acrobat PDF file, sending it to a PowerPoint file, and or a Microsoft Word document, and or emailing it. Be aware that if you select the printer or the Acrobat PDF selections, what will happen is an additional tab will open up. You see along the top, I've got a new tab that has been created giving me the opportunity to print this view of my Mobile World Balance Scorecard outside of QuickScore. Similarly, if I select Acrobat PDF and send this view out to a PDF file, it again opens up another tab, presenting me once again with that view of my mobile world balance scorecard, and I'll just close that tab. The difference between the printing and the PDF and PowerPoint and Word is that if I select PowerPoint, what it will do is it will generate a new PowerPoint file for me, and that PowerPoint file will now be, if you look to the far lower left corner, you see that it has created a PowerPoint deck for me, and I can click on it to open it up and view what it has created for me. And the same process occurs if you send something out to Word, where again, within QuickScore, if you select the Send To and go to Word and send this out to Word, it again will generate a new file, a new Word document for me. It will download that document, and that document is now again available to me in the lower left-hand corner. Of course, if you're going to send something to someone via email, you can use the email selection here. And what it does is it provides you a simple form empowering you to provide an email address and then any type of message that you might desire to associate with what you're sending from out of QuickScore via an email. Now, in terms of send to options, they will vary to a certain extent depending on what you're viewing on your screen when you select the send to. If I were to move over to the Measures tab within the scorecard section here, so that I'm still viewing my mobile world balance scorecard and all the data that is behind that scorecard, I've now changed to a tabular sort of more report-like view of my balance scorecard and all its elements. If I go up to the Send To dropdown, note that the list of destinations has expanded to include 3 additional elements. One is Excel. Right? When I was looking at an overview, which is a visual overview presentation of my scorecard, it doesn't make a lot of sense to send this out to a tabular application like Excel. But when I'm viewing, again, a tabular view of all my information, then it does make sense to send it to something like Excel. So Excel has now become as an available option to send it to. Or we could also send all of this data out to create a scorecard import file that we can leverage in the future to update the elements of this balanced scorecard or to create a measure value import file. So please just be aware that the item that you have selected, whether it be over on the left in terms of what section of QuickScore you're working with. So if I were to go to the dashboards area and again go up to Send To, I will get a similar list to what we saw earlier with briefing, but now also when you're looking at a dashboard, you can also create a share of that dashboard, empowering you to create a link that you can share with someone else that will give them a nice static view of what you are viewing when you select the share dashboard option. But again, my point here is that what you see in your Send To drop-down menu is going to be context specific according to what you have selected over on either the section of QuickScore that you're in or the application that you're actually viewing at that point in time. So just be aware that the Send To menu can definitely change depending on what you have open. The Info button is another one to certainly be aware of. I'm going to navigate back into the Scorecard section. And we'll start by just looking at the mobile world, again, balanced scorecard as the kind of the high tier 1 level. And if I were to go to Info, I get some basic information about this scorecard element. I get its name. I get any kind of a description that has been provided. Its internal ID value, which is what, of course, the underlying QuickScore data repository is using to uniquely identify and locate this scorecard element, and then what type it is and what type of weight it carries. Now, if I were to navigate further down the tree here into a financial perspective, and again, click the I for Info button in the upper right-hand corner, I get a similar kind of view here of that perspective. It's the financial, I've got a description about it, again, its ID, what type it is, and what type of weight it carries. Same idea down to an objective, increase revenue. If I, again, select the I for Info button, again, I get name, description, ID, type, and weight. Now, when you get down to measures, this is where you're going to get some what we would perceive to be more helpful information about your scorecard element. So if I select product revenue and click the I button, I'll see that it is, obviously, it's a measure. And in this case, it's a linked measure. So it's actually tying out to another measure somewhere else within my overall QuickScore environment in a different organization, in a different scorecard. But it again is providing me with a unique ID for this product revenue measure, its weight, what type of scoring it is employing, how often it expects to be updated under the calendar, the data type, aggregation type, and so on, as well as providing me visibility to the actual values that might be available, the red flag and the goal thresholds that have been set up, and lastly, who are the owners and updaters of that particular scorecard measure, in this case of product revenue. So again, the point here is that with the info button, it gives you whatever information the system has available to share with you. And sometimes it'll be very detailed in nature when you get down to the measures level. Sometimes when you're at the scorecard perspective or objective level, the information it has to share with you is just by nature, somewhat brief. Okay. Moving ahead just across that upper right-hand corner toolbar to talk about the last button out here, which is history. Again, if I were to click on product revenue, and let's say I'm curious about the history of this measure, when has it been updated? Who has done the updating? What type of change was applied to this product revenue measure within this given scorecard? And so history, if I go there, I'll go to just another area where we can view that same product revenue measure, but at its source, which is in the financial scorecard and the revenue area. If I go in here and take a look at the history, again, we've got all the events that have occurred on this particular product revenue history, and you can see it's been in existence for a long time. It's been updated many, many times. In each case, it seems like Clive Keat is the guy that's doing all the work. Presumably, he would be the owner and updater of that particular measure within this scorecard. So history gives you a view of what has occurred in the past. And again, it gives you the opportunity in the upper right, should you want to export this out for, printing purposes or a PDF or an Excel formatted file that you can, employ in other ways. Okay, so that takes care of the upper right toolbar with, again, bookmarks, send to opportunities, info, and history. Okay, moving on in our agenda of capabilities here, we're going to move over to documents. I touched on this briefly earlier, but I just want to again remind you that you have the opportunity within QuickScore to store documents inside of QuickScore. Now, a common question that comes up here with regard to documents is, well, why would I do that? And the most common answer to that understandable question is so that documents are immediately available to you within QuickScore. So you don't have to go out and find them on some kind of a network resource or in a repository somewhere else. They live within QuickScore, so they're easily available and accessible, again, as, for instance, a related item. And also, they're just quickly and readily available to you when you are just navigating around and looking at scorecard elements and say, boy, I'm really curious about more information about this scorecard element. You can, again, add anything that has been created as a document to, again, your related item. So in this case, if I wanted to have, let's say, the user guide available to me when I'm viewing the Mobile World Balance Scorecard as a related item, because I have stored that user guide in my documents repository or library, it becomes available to me within the related items section. Now, with regard, again, to documents, how you create and upload them, it's very, very straightforward. If you're in the document section and you want to add a document, you simply go to the top of the black navigation pane, click Add Document, give this a name of Tom's Document, and then browse out and find the document that you want to upload. And in this case, I'll just grab a Word document that I have easily available to me, and it uploads that document, and I click Done, and it is now available to me here in my, again, another use of the term library, in my library of available documents within the Mobile World Inc. organization. One aspect of documents that you should certainly be aware of is that the library of documents is organization specific. So I am in presently the Mobile World Inc. organization, where I'm looking at my documents library, I've got 3 different documents here. If I were to change from the mobile world over to a financial organization and look at the documents there, nothing has yet been added into this financial organization's, again, library of documents. But again, I can do the same idea here of just putting in, let's put in a PowerPoint document, for instance, in here, and I'll browse out, and I'll add a PowerPoint deck into this organization, the financial organization's library of stored documents, and done. And so now within the financial organization, I do have access, of course, to that PowerPoint doc. When you want to access the documents that have been uploaded into your library of documents, you, of course, navigate to find them, and then just simply click on the download button, the big blue download button over to the right, and it will download, in this case, this PowerPoint deck, make it available to me in the lower left-hand corner, and I can go ahead and open that up and review it. Okay, let me get back into QuickScore here. So that's documents. A common question, another question that does often come up about documents is there a limit to the type of documents you can upload and or the size of those documents and or the quantity of documents that can exist within the repository? And the answer to all those is no, there's really no limit to the type of file, the size of the file, or the quantity of files that you can store within your documents library. Okay, the next topic, let me just remind myself where we're going here on our agenda. Okay, so we've got through bookmarks, search, find, related, history, documents. Okay, so we're up to linked measures. Let's talk about linked measures. Probably the best example of effective use of linked measures lives within our existing, in this training environment, our Mobile World Inc. organization. Now, the idea behind Mobile World is it's a large multinational, organization. It's got a lot of different internal departments, such as financial, marketing, customer support, and so on. And in this case, each of these different departments have chosen to design their own organization and their own scorecard in a way that works for them in their organization, but is not necessarily following the classic balanced scorecard approach to performance management. In this case, if we look at the financial organization and expand all, you see that this has been set up effectively kind of like a big old P&L sort of statement, where we've got revenue, cost of sale, gross profit, and all of the appropriate underlying measures have been set up in this fashion in financial. If we take a look at where we viewed quickly earlier in customer support, they similarly have different themes, such as help desk, customer satisfaction, and so on, and have been organized in that fashion with underlying measures rolling up to those themes of help desk calls and customer satisfaction and so forth. But at our highest tier 1 level for Mobile World, we have embraced what I always call the classic balanced scorecard methodology here, where we have a scorecard for underlying perspectives of financial, customer, internal processes, and so on. And then within each of those perspectives, we have underlying objectives, which are in turn supported and provided with measured data and information for these distinct different measures. Now, please take note here. It's a subtle thing, but it's important to be aware of that within this Mobile World Balanced Scorecard at the parent or tier 1 level that is embracing the balanced scorecard methodology, this scorecard has been constructed largely with linked items. So product revenue, you see to the left of product revenue, there's not a little circle for the measure, but there is 2 little links of a chain. And that's your visual indication that product revenue is linking to product revenue that is coming from somewhere else, actually in a different organization and a different scorecard. But at the tier 1 level, we want to bring together lots of disparate measures in an appropriately formatted structure under the financial, customer, internal processes, and organizational capacity perspectives, the underlying objectives, but the measures themselves are largely coming from somewhere else in a different organization. And again, the perfect example of that is within the financial organization. These measures of product revenue, training revenue, and book revenue all come from the underlying financial organization, where we have a revenue theme. And again, product revenue, training revenue, and book revenue exist here as defined measures. And in this case, each of these are set up with their own, if I go to edit, they're of course set up all with their own distinct properties in terms of scoring type, calendar, red flags, goals, and all of that, okay? Whereas up at the top, at the Mobile World Inc. organization and its representation of those measures, such as product revenue, this is, if I go over to the I, where we just talked about the info button in the far upper right corner, if I click info, I will see that this is, of course, actually coming from a source measure of product revenue. And if I want to investigate product revenue, I click on it, and as you would expect, it has drilled me down into, again, that financial organization, the revenue theme, and that single product revenue measure. Now, how linked items are created, very simple, very easy. I have created, for the purposes of demonstration here today, I've created an organization that I'm calling a little bit of everything, Tier 1 scorecard. And I started building it out in the same sort of structure that we just saw with the Mobile World Inc.'s, Tier 1 scorecard of a financial perspective, customer perspective, and so on, as well as some underlying objectives. And that's as far as I took it to this point. But of course, now what we want to do is get some measures into these objectives. And again, we're going to be calling or linking to other locations within our scorecard to find the measures we want to link to. So in this case, if I click increase revenue and go up to new scorecard item, it will give me the opportunity to provide a name. And one thing that's, I think, really cool about leveraging linked measures is you don't even have to provide a name if you don't want to. You can provide a unique name at this point. But if I go over to the type dropdown, and instead of employing what it defaulted to, which is measure, in which I would go in and define uniquely all the properties of this new measure, I can just click linked item. And that will then allow me to navigate out into another organization here, which is financial, open up the revenue theme, and grab product revenue, and see that it is automatically populating the name field up in the upper left with the name product revenue, and I click create. And so lickety-split, I have just created a new measure under increased revenue that's product revenue. And again, I can repeat that process very easily by, again, clicking on a linked item, again, return to the financial organization, the revenue theme, and adding training revenue. And again, just click create, and it will provide, again, a new measure over here called training revenue, which is linked to the original training revenue within the financial organization scorecard. So that is how linked items are created in a scorecard. Okay, just a quick time check. All right, so good, we're doing all right for time. The last agenda item that we have to talk about here today is notes. And notes are very, very helpful. Again, they kind of explain themselves just in their name, what they're there for, but they give you the opportunity to provide text-based context and communication and collaboration in a variety of ways throughout the QuickScore software solution. So notes really live technically within the scorecards and initiatives sections of QuickScore. So let me just jump back here to the Mobile World Inc. organization, and we'll take a look at the scorecards area, or section, I should say, here within Mobile World Inc. So over to the right, I'm looking at, of course, the overview of the Mobile World Balance Scorecard. It's showing me a speedometer graph, a chart, data used in the calculations, and related items. Note that along the bottom, it also has a button to show notes. So there is a notes pane that just was temporarily collapsed in favor of presenting the other overview information that exists for Mobile World Inc. So within scorecards, depending on a variety of factors, including even, your screen resolution. If I were to minimize or reduce my screen resolution here and jump to another area within the scorecards here within Mobile World, such as within increased revenue, and go to a single measure, it would show me the notes here. If I give it enough real estate here, I was anticipating that it was going to show me the notes. There we go. So all I did here, folks, was just, again, reduce my resolution a little bit. So depending on available space on your screen, notes can be automatically presented within the scorecards area and or within the initiatives area. But if you don't automatically see the notes, because your resolution is such that the real estate on the screen is being taken up by showing other important elements then please be aware that there is a Show Notes button down along the bottom that allows you to open and expand the Notes pane. And that exact same thing applies within the Initiatives area. So again, notes are basically created and live within the Scorecard section and within the Initiatives section, and they're tied to whatever element you have associated the note with. But again, visibility to the Notes pane is going to be variable depending on what you are viewing at any given point in time. Okay, so notes are very straightforward in terms of creation. So if I just were to go back to the Scorecard section, I can see that for the Mobile World Balance Scorecard, I already have an existing note here, which is has been added, and I can click on it to view the entirety of that note and see that this note was originally written, providing a description of this, what the scorecard represents, and then someone came along later and replied to that note as well. So when you're viewing a note, note that in the lower right-hand corner, there is the opportunity to provide a reply. So this is another reply, to the note, okay? And then I can hit reply. So this gives you the opportunity to establish some collaboration, communication strings around the given scorecard element that you're viewing, and it can, again, create a very collaborative environment for yourself and your fellow workers who have access to QuickScore. Speaking of access to notes, I've talked about them existing and being available in the Notes pane in both the Scorecards section and the Initiatives section. But notes are also available to you if you are on your home page and happen to be an updater of some measures. So be aware that if you have gone in to the Measures I Update area and are viewing measures that you are responsible for updating, out to the right, there is a little notes icon. So you can access the same collection of notes that was available and visible in the Scorecards view. Also, you can get at those notes here from your home page and the update screen within the home page. It's effectively taking me to the same location and giving me, again, from here, the opportunity to add a note. So if I wanted to add a note to this product revenue measure, I can just simply click Add Note and then say this is a new note. Now, when you create a note, please be aware that you have the opportunity to assign that note to a particular time period if you desire, or to make it an all-time note. So up towards the upper right, it presently believes that because I'm viewing information for January of 2019, that if I create a note, it'll just be a monthly note specifically just for January of 2019. I could also set it up to be for a different month here within 2019 and say this note is just for February. On the other hand, if I wanted the note to be constantly present, no matter what time period someone is viewing a given scorecard element at, you can set it to be all time and then click Confirm. So that gives you the opportunity to specify when notes are pertinent. And again, many of our customers want distinct, different notes, of course, for different time periods, as you can imagine. And that's where you have the opportunity to do that. One other place where I want to make sure you're aware that notes are accessible and visible is within dashboards. So if I navigate over to dashboards, I've got a couple different examples of dashboards that have been created which are employing note widgets on them. In this case, we've got a strategic communication dashboard, and of course, we've got some visual graphics around improving clarity of offering and improving market awareness. But over on the right, we also have a notes area where I can view all of the various notes that have been applied to the Mobile World Balance Scorecard over time. And if you want to work with the notes here, you can simply click on them and it will open the note in its entirety, allowing you again to view the original note and again any potential replies that have come along and been added to that particular note. And again, I'll click close there. Another way that notes can be presented on dashboards, which is a great new feature of our version 3.2 of QuickScore, is as a different presentation style. In what I just showed you originally was these are effectively tiles that tie back to a given note, but there is limited real estate provided on the dashboard itself to actually show the full note. you can change the way notes are presented so that you give it more real estate so as to view the full entirety of the note right on the dashboard itself. So how that is accomplished is, I'll show you here on another dashboard, which is what I've called a raw notes dashboard for this February webinar. And I'm going to jump into edit mode on this dashboard and just share with you that, I'll go full screen here, that what I did was I added a notes widget to the dashboard. And again, that's very easily accomplished. If you're familiar with dashboards already, there's add widget in the upper left, and you scroll down and select notes, and then you just tie it out to, again, either the scorecard item where the note lives and originates, or the initiative where the note that you desire to view, again, resides within the initiative section. Now, I'm not going to actually create a new one here, but what I will do is change the way these notes are presented here on this dashboard by selecting the notes widget and going up to the upper right-hand corner and changing display as, and this is the new opportunity here, full notes. So if I change that to full notes, see that it has immediately automatically changed the way all these notes are presented, again, giving me more real estate to view the notes, the full notes in each case, as well as the opportunity to scroll up and down through the collection of notes that exist for the Mobile World Balance Scorecard. And another setting to be aware of, if you do change over to that new display as full notes opportunity, you also have the opportunity to limit what is being shown within that notes area. So you could say, all I really want to see is just the body of the note. It's all of the various notes and any replies. Now, if there are notes from any descendants and or any replies, you may certainly want to show those. But you have complete control over what is being shown in this new display format around notes on dashboards. At this point, I will click Exit Full Screen, and I'll save that dashboard. Okay, let me just see if there's anything else here regarding notes that I wanted to touch on. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Okay, folks, let's just go back and make sure that we've covered everything that we desire to cover here for this Did you know you can do this in QuickScore webinar here this month? We talked about bookmarks. We showed you the search and the find. We discussed related items, what they can be, how to set them up. We did talk about options within the send to and the info button and what it provides visibility to, as well as the history and the information you can get from there. We talked about your documents library. We talked about and showed you how to create linked measures. And lastly, we covered notes. Okay, so that wraps up here our February webinar. I would like to invite you to please join us in March for our next webinar. We haven't yet locked down a topic for that next webinar, but please do join us, and we will, of course, be sending you invitations to that next webinar. And before we let you go, I do, of course, want to thank you for your time. Thanks for attending. Please do feel free to contact me anytime. Again, I'm Tom Keating, and I'm available to you at tom.keating@spiderstrategies.com.